Well, hello, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. We're going to talk about managing difficult patients or clients today. This is something that we all really deal with. I think, you get those patients or clients that come in and you just kind of go, oh, this is going to be hard. I just know it's going to be tough. And sometimes they really can be. And I think there's some clear ways that we can navigate these challenging patients in a way that is a win for you and it's also a win for the patient. So, first of all, I want to give you a story that just happened to me recently. I shared this inside my Facebook group. So, for those of you that are listening that you heard me yap about it, I'll give the condensed version. But in short, I have a patient that is coming in and she was asking questions. She was coming into the med spa for an unrelated reason, unrelated to health and wellness. And she started to kind of ask questions, and me being I'm always trying to help and give people information if they need it. So she was talking about digestive issues, and she's a staunch vegetarian, like really strong vegetarian. And I was trying to, give some recommendations about what she could maybe do for her diet. It's that kind of thing. And she did them, maybe with a little bit of hesitancy because she kind of wasn't sure. And then, as time went on, I think she kind of fell into her own little, way that kind of was working for her, which was fine. Well, then probably a month or two later, I had another client come in, another patient come in, and this time he kind of presented the same way, was like, had kind of an odd dietary type habit, was just kind of, I'll say it's a Dr. Google diet, right? He just kind of had an eclectic diet that didn't really make much sense. And he was not about to have any conversation with me to give it up. But he was complaining about digestive issues the same way the first person was. So I gave him the same recommendation. And in his defense, he did do it. However, he came back to me and just wanted to point out all the reasons why what I had told him was just wrong. So he did do it like the first lady. He did it, but he never gave it enough time to really see any kind of change. And so I mentioned that, you have to do this long enough that it's going to make a difference. And he just started to want to push back on me. Well, actually, he came to me as a wellness patient. So he's already arguing with me, and I'm trying to defend myself, not myself, but I'm trying to defend and educate about what I believe to be true based on my own, clinical insight. And he just wanted to push back and push back and push back. And I had to let him go. I just had to say, I'm sorry, I just don't think that I'm a good fit. And oh, was he mad. And he started spouting off about this and spouting off about that. He was not happy. And I think that sometimes we miss those early warning signs that a patient isn't going to be a good fit. And I've learned over the years, there are a couple of key things that are going to tip me off to the fact that this may not be the best, patient relationship, client relationship. And so I want to share with you what I have found, things that I now watch for, and the things that we screen for, actually, like my staff will screen for. I call it, you got to weed out the crazy. I don't want to get somebody in, then find out that they're crazy. So I just need you to kind of screen out the crazy. And that helps a lot of times. But there are some warning signs that I think we can be aware of when it comes to like dealing with the patients that just are not going to be a good fit. Sometimes I think they're not a good fit because it might be really truly like a financial limitation where they don't have the money. I just had something the other day where a medical doctor referred someone to me and she got on the phone and found out how much it was going to cost. And she said, oh, well, I just can't afford that. And that doesn't mean she's not a good fit. Like I could have helped her, but there was just some financial limitation. So that wasn't going to work. There might also be because there's poor expectations. So maybe a person that comes to you maybe heard from their neighbor, like, oh, I worked with Rhonda and I got great results and I'm so happy, blah, blah, blah. But then maybe this particular person comes in and they've got like a laundry list. They're on 15 different medications and they have all these different health concerns and they think they're going to get the same outcome as their neighbor who had hot flashes only. And I was able to help with the hot flashes, but this is a completely different situation. Sometimes it's expectations that are not correct. They come in thinking that they're going to get a miracle, and I can only do so much. The body can only do so much. So how do we spot these kinds of mismatch type patients? Well, again, I think the first thing is to have a process that you can screen for the crazy. So if you have a front desk person or a virtual assistant or someone who's helping you do that, great. Give them some questions to ask. I learned this years ago when I had my brick and mortar in Northern California. I created a form that my office manager would fill out when the phone would ring. And she would start asking these questions and she would start inquiring with the patient, asking them questions, who have you seen before? One of the tip offs that the patient's not going to be a good fit is if they say things like, oh, I've been to see everyone and no one has been able to help me. That's a warning sign for me because why is nobody else able to help? The next question is, well, what kind of practitioners have you seen? Oh, well, I've been to 5 different functional medicine practitioners and no one's been able to help me. Well, I've been suckered by that one before, and I have yet to have it work out good. Not one time. I feel compassionate. I'm like, oh, I'll help you. Why do I think that I'm going to be able to help when 5 other functional medicine doctors have not been able to help? That is a problem right there because that patient has likely wanted to either run the show, call the shots, too high of expectations. They won't follow through, all of that. And so that's a warning sign if they say that they've worked with lots of people before and, quote, no one's been able to help. Another one is if they automatically call your office and demand that these are the blood tests I want, these are the things that I want, and I want you to investigate X, Y, and Z. I just had this one happen too. Someone emailed and wanted me to work with them and then said that, well, the only thing that I want you to work on is MTHFR. I was like, yep, and no. That's a no. I don't care. I do not want that patient. I don't want it. I don't want anything to do with them because they're going to just be bossing me around and telling me what I'm going to test for and what the mom thinks. And this was with the child, what the mom thinks is the problem. And she's going to usurp my own clinical basis, right, for making these kinds of recommendations. So that's another tip off. Another one is if they just want you to order tests. I had this one in the last couple of months as well. And no offense intended, but I say I am not a test whore, meaning you're not going to use me to get the tests that you want and then off you go. That's not how it works around this. My circus, my monkeys. I get to say how it works for me. And that's not how it's going to work for me. That's not how it's going to work. Another red flag or warning sign is the person that calls you and they want you to look at all of their supplements and give your opinion about them before you work with them. Or when they, even at that new patient appointment, they send you 5 or 8 or 10 years worth of tests because they've been sick for so long. That's also a warning sign. And a list of all their supplements. And they want you to give them exact specifics about why it would work, why it wouldn't work, what you think, what you would recommend, et cetera. No, 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 no. That is not how it works around here. I get to do what I believe is the right thing to do from optimizing health. I'm not curing any diseases. I'm just optimizing someone's health. I'm helping them be as healthy as they can be. But I am not going to write you an expose about all of the junk supplements that you're taking. I'm just not going to do it. So that's a warning sign. Another one is when the husband or the wife of the patient calls to make the appointment, or they'll make it for their child, right? They'll make it for their spouse or their child. It's a different if they're like a 5-year-old child or an 8-year-old child, that's fine. But I can't tell you. I once had a very famous celebrity. If I mentioned the name, you all would know who it was. The celebrity was a male and his wife was seeing me. She was a patient. And she was getting great results and doing really awesome. But, that celebrity in the music industry kind of lifestyle lends itself to lots of unhealthy lifestyle, behavioral substance habits. And so the celebrity was involved in some of that stuff. And so the wife makes an appointment for him and he comes in. And I'm thinking, this is not going to go well. And I am not starstruck at all. Like, it doesn't bother me, not one bit. I don't care. It doesn't matter. They put their pants on the same way everybody else does. So it wasn't a big deal to me. So he comes in and he sits down and drops his head as he's sitting in the chair across from me, drops his head down. And he's really not engaging with me at all. I mean, like within the first minute or two, I said, okay, look, I know. Tell me if I'm wrong, but you're here only because your wife made you come. Is that right? And he just kind of grunted. I said, okay, look, here's the deal. You don't want to be here, and that's clear. But your wife wants you to be here. So, how about you and I just pretend that we had a conversation? We'll agree on what we talked about so that you can go back and give the report back to your wife and she'll be happy. And then you and I'll just have like a normal person conversation. And we'll just sit in here and we'll kill time for the next hour. And then you can leave and you and I are on the same page and you've got the story for her and we're good to go. And he lifted his head up and he looked me right in the eyes and he goes, "That would be great." I said, "Okay." So we talked about all kinds of things. We talked nothing about what he did for a living. We just talked about life things and about outdoors and physical activity and, things that were in the news. And we just had like a normal conversation. As we wrapped it up, I said, "Okay, now we got to make a plan because our appointment time's almost over and she's out there waiting in the waiting room. So what are we going to talk?" I said, "Here's what I think you can tell her." And he's like, "Okay, I got that." And we were fast friends after that. And then I would run into him once in a while, or he would come with her when she would come in. And, it was always like this unspoken, massive amount of respect, right, between us because I helped him get what he wanted. But all of this to say, when a wife calls and makes an appointment for a husband, I won't take them. I say, if your husband wants the appointment, then your husband can call and make it. But he needs to call and make the appointment. He needs to do it. The adult, you know, 18, 19, 20-year-old child, if they want help, they need to make it. Because if they don't want to be there, then it's just miserable for me. It's horrible. So those are some of the things that you can kind of look for. And then too, if you just get attitude from people, this is why those questions up front, the screening questions, you write them out for what feels right for you. Like, well, what are you coming in for? Who have you seen, about this condition? What did they recommend? What were their recommendations? How long have you been dealing with this? Those kinds of questions. You'll find out real fast whether that person's going to be a good fit or not. So now, once you kind of know, like, all right, I don't think this person's going to be a great fit, you kind of have some criteria. How do you manage the ones that you currently have that you need to draw a line in the sand with? And I bet all of you at least could think of two or three probably that you have that you're like, yeah, I don't think this is a good fit. So, how do you have those conversations with someone just to kind of let them know that maybe you're not the best fit? I have used this same line, I'll call it, for a long time. Oh, this is another warning sign. I just thought of one. I'm kind of flying off the cuff today because I can talk about this easily, but here's one I forgot. When you're talking to the patient, like in the screening period of time, and they say, "Oh, yeah, well, I'm working with so and so over here and they're a muscle tester. I hope you don't mind." That's a hard no every time. The muscle testing isn't the issue. It's that there's too many cooks in the kitchen, right? There's just too many people in the kitchen. We can't have more than one cook. Otherwise, the soup is going to get salty because that person's adding salt and I'm adding salt. And before you know it, we've got massively salty soup. And it's because there's too many cooks in the kitchen, too many people tweaking the recipe. So, how you manage that is like, if that's the case, let's say, that's what made me think about it. If that's the case, then you want to have a really honest conversation with the patient. And that conversation looks like, listen, I want the best for you, but I don't feel at this time if there's someone else that's really helping you manage your health and this whatever situation, I think that it's really in your best interest to just have one person that's doing it. Now, if you want to ask my opinion about something, that's great. But I am not going to make any more recommendations. I'm not going to make any more supplement recommendations or create a protocol for you. I really think that you're going to be best served by just having one person manage your care, and I think that you would be better served with that other person. I think they're doing a great job for you, and I think that you're gonna be better served there. Now, what that does is, it lets the patient know that I'm putting their needs first, and they may come back and go, "No, no, no, I really wanna work with you." And I'll say, "I just don't think this is a good idea," and I'm gonna say no because you're not gonna get the outcome, and my priority and my commitment is to you, not to me. It's not about me. I'm here for you. And I can tell you that I'm not going to be able to do what I need to do. And I can guarantee you that the recommendations that I'm going to make are going to conflict with the recommendations that the other practitioner is making. Therefore, I am now stepping out. So when you have that kind of conversation, Every once in a while, someone will say, "Oh, okay, 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 I don't wanna not work with you. I'll let the other person know." That's risky as well because they may or may not do that, A, and B, I don't want the other person to feel like, I've come in and talked crap about it because you don't know what the patient's gonna say, right? Now we have a little triangulation going on. So you want to just step out as best as you can, defer and give it to someone else. Another thing that you can do is, you can really honestly just say, listen, I just don't know that I'm the best person for you. So this is for me anyway. This is me. May not be you, but it's me. If I have someone who's a vegetarian, kind of like that first person that I told you about, if I have someone who's really, really, really a very, 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 very staunch vegetarian, I love using glands, organs, like, bovine tissue. I love that. And I really believe that it's super helpful. That's how I know to help someone. And if they're not able to allow me to do that, there's no judgment on that. But I just don't think I'm the best suited person to help them. Like, I think they would be better served, really honestly, by a practitioner who's also a vegan or vegetarian. I'm not. And so, therefore, my tools don't allow me to help you in the way that I really feel like I can help you. I think there's someone else that can speak your language a little bit better, has a better understanding about it, and they could do a better job. Because otherwise, it just ends up like we're just butting heads, right? I want to recommend something and I have to go, oh no, it has like eyeballs in it or whatever, right? And I can't recommend it. And so those are people that I will often just have that conversation with. And I've only had this happen a couple of times, but if you ever have patients that are disrespectful to you, they are threatening to you, you don't feel safe, or they're making your staff feel unsafe, or they're threatening them or being unkind to them, it's instant termination. I just say, I don't think this is a good fit. Please let me know if you'd like me to send your information somewhere, but we won't be scheduling any appointments moving forward because this kind of behavior is not tolerated in our office. I've only had that happen a couple of times, but I will protect my team to the nth because I know that they're protecting me and I will never let anyone be disrespectful to them ever, 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 ever. So there's that. So how you communicate that, you want to remember, you want to put the patient first, always, right? But you want to make them really feel like the decision that you're making to not work with them is because it's going to serve them better. And, indirectly, it's probably helping you because it isn't a good fit. It may just not be a personality fit. It may not be, a lifestyle fit. And there's people who, this is the one that cracks me up, is patients will come in and they'll pay to see you and they pay and buy the supplements, but then they don't take them, but then they keep coming back to see you. And they're complaining that they're not getting better, but they haven't reordered their supplements from 3 months ago and they're complaining that it's not working. And you say, listen, you should have been through at least 2 bottles, maybe 3 bottles of that XYZ supplement by now. Well, I've been out of town and well, then I was in Italy and, it's just been a really busy month and, I'll get to it. I haven't been able to exercise. I just been busy. Look, I don't have time for that. I'm fine if you're gonna be honest with me, and if there's really truly something going on, I'm golden with that. Like, let's work through that, but if you're gonna keep coming and then keep giving me, excuses about why you can't do what I'm asking you to do, I'm not down for that. I am not gonna do that, not in a minute. No way, no way, no way. So, those are the things that you wanna keep your eyes open for. Keep them peeled for those types of patients, and your life is gonna be so much happier when you decide that you're not going to tolerate the people that just aren't a good fit. You're going to feel so much better. Your staff is going to feel better. You don't look at your schedule for the day and go, oh, that person's coming in. We don't want any of that. Your office, your business, your practice, you should love every single person that comes in. And if you have that person that isn't a good fit for whatever reason, just let them go. Let them go be free. Help them find someone, even maybe before you have the conversation. Go out and look for other practitioners in your area that you might be able to refer them to, that you can have a conversation with and say, hey, listen, I've got someone that I would like to refer to you that I think really truly would be a better fit for you. They're just not, I just don't think it's a right fit for me because of X, Y, and Z. And like in Clinical Business Academy, we talk a lot about the power of networking, but networking from a very, very unique perspective, not the kind of networking with local businesses or other practitioners that's all about like, please send me people. Here I am. This is what I do. Would love your referrals. I don't believe in that kind of networking at all. And I have a whole methodology that I teach about the powerful ways to network that actually gets other people to want to send people your way. However, this is when that kind of networking comes into really becomes valuable because you've already been able to network with people in your area so you know exactly who would be a really good fit for this patient that you lovingly need to release back into the wild or back into the arms and the hands of someone else, another practitioner that's better suited to help them. So that's the power of knowing the people in your area because there's more people than you could ever treat, ever. You got to make sure that you find the right fit for them. So the big point is that they're not a right fit for you. So there you go. That's what I have for you today. I love sharing these kinds of tips and strategies and things with you. You know, when an idea comes up, I think, oh, I think last week or I don't know when, I think I just had an off the cuff, I don't know when it aired about breast cancer. And I just kind of had an off the cuff moment. I just decided that's what I was going to talk about. So sometimes there are conversations like this where I really don't have a lot of notes. I just know that this is something that we all deal with. And I want to be able to help you kind of navigate that as you build your business, as you're growing your practice, and as you are learning how to honor and respect yourself as the clinician, the practitioner, that not everyone's going to be a right fit for you. And it's really okay to say no. And I'm going to end with this. When you say yes to someone that's not a good fit, you are in essence saying no to someone else who is not a good fit. Remember that. When you say yes to someone who's not a good fit, you're saying no to someone else who would be. So that's all I have for you this week on the podcast. Take care. I'll talk to you next week.